טובה. think is that it? Create a pure heart in me, O God. Create a pure heart in me. Create a pure heart in me, O God. Create a pure heart in me. And renew a true soul within me. And renew a true soul within. And renew a true soul within me. And renew a true soul within. Create a pure heart in me, O God. Create a pure heart in me. Create a pure heart in me, O God. Create a pure heart in me. And renew a true soul within me. And renew a true soul within. And renew a true soul within me. And renew a true soul within. Create a pure heart in me, O God. Create a pure heart in me. Create a pure heart in me, O God. Create a pure heart in me. And renew a true soul within me. And renew a true soul within. And renew a true soul within me. And renew a true soul within.
Gemar Chatima Tova. Shana Tova. A poem by Alden Solovey called The Cut That Heals. What if I opened my heart fully, completely, without fear or hesitation? Would I overflow with joy, with beauty, with love? Yes, my child, you would overflow with radiance and splendor, with wonder and thanksgiving. What if I opened my eyes fully, completely, without fear or hesitation? Would I overflow with grief, with loss, with desolation? No, my child, you would overflow with kindness and grace, with awe and compassion. What if I opened my hands fully, completely, without fear or hesitation? Would I drown in the work of repairing the world, in the depth of need and despair? No, my child, you would rise up with strength and with wisdom, a well of mercy, a beacon of light, the gates of healing. Remember this: love and loss are the same gift, grief and joy the same cloth, faith and doubt the same path. The cut that wounds is the cut that heals. When you rise up renewed, tears and laughter will meet in the core of your being. Grace and mercy will flow through you like water. You will be a fountain of blessings, a source of righteousness and charity, and you will sing humble praises fully, completely, without fear or hesitation, to God's holy name. In 24 hours, may we all rise up renewed, with blessings flowing through and from us. Amen. It's so good to have you here, those who are watching online and those who are here in our sanctuary. A couple of logistical notes as we begin. First, if you have something to kvel about, something wonderful to say about the way things are going here at the synagogue during the holidays, please tell us right away. If you're here in the sanctuary, please tell someone before you leave. If you're watching online, send an email tomorrow after Yontiv. That would be great. We'd love to hear about it right away. If you have a non-emergency kvetch, something you're less happy about, I'd like to ask you to wait until Monday when the office reopens. And if it still feels important on Monday, then, of course, by all means, please let us know. For everyone here at home and here in the sanctuary, we'll be sharing some liturgy on the screen for everyone. I know some of you have machzorim in your hands. As always, there are no italics indicating responsive reading in this machzor or on the screen. So unless we instruct you otherwise, consider this your open invitation to read all the words with us. For those who are here in the sanctuary, we need to ask you to keep yourself and your fellow congregants safe by keeping your mask on over your nose and your mouth the entire time you're here in the building. Those of us leading will keep our masks on too when we're not leading. This is a matter of pikuach nefesh, life-preserving measures, and so we'll ask that you keep your life preserver on at all times. Rabbi Reines, Cantor Kipnis, Jenna, and I will be on the bima before and after each service. In the interest of COVID safety, we reluctantly and politely ask you not to come all the way up onto the bima like you might in other years to greet us, although waves and air hugs and air kisses are very welcome. We will gladly talk to people in a safe way after services and request your understanding that we may not be able to greet each of you individually. This is a night of memory. And so there is a custom of lighting a yahrzeit candle. Some of you may have done that before you came tonight. There will be, for those who are here in the synagogue, yahrzeit candles courtesy of Plaza Community Chapels outside in the foyer for you to take one per family as you make your way out, should you wish to light a memorial candle remembering all those that you love. All the lights are on the yahrzeit boards in our sanctuary as we remember all of our loved ones. And I'm going to light a yahrzeit candle on all of our behalf right now. Baruch atah Adonai, notea b'tochenu chayei olam. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who places within us life everlasting. The human spirit is the light of God, searching out what lies within us. Guided by the flame of conscience, on this sacred night we search for truth. Shine your light upon us as we strive to serve you. May we find safety in your faithful love. We light the flame of healing and forgiveness. On this atonement night, we give thanks for love.
We move from the candle of memory to that of introspection. And we would love to have welcomed up onto our bima, Marcia and Steve Roth, to help us as we continue with the lights of Yom Tov.
Source of blessing, eternal our God. The universe with a majestic might, teaching us holiness through sacred obligations and giving us the mitzvah of bringing light on Yom Kippur.
Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, giving us life, upholding the life within us, and bringing us to this time.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Yom HaKippurim.
We continue on page 14. Yom Kippur, the Jewish people's festival of the soul, and Kol Nidre, its sacred portal. A night of deep emotions, a night, as the psalmist wrote, to rejoice with trembling. We rejoice at the sound of Kol Nidre, rhythmic words of release from vows, oaths, and promises to God we fail to keep. We tremble at the melody. Music of spiritual amazement, it fills us with awe as we stand before God and Torah. We rejoice that we stand together, strengthened by community in this hour of shared weakness and humility. We tremble. For tonight we confess our flaws, admit our imperfection, and acknowledge a power far beyond our understanding. We rejoice that we commit ourselves to great endeavors because we feel so deeply and we think so nobly. We tremble, for we find that our ideals are far greater than our ability. Our promises surpass our might. We rejoice in the freedom that is Kol Nidre's true gift, the freedom to begin a new year without fear of failure, to aspire to be God's image in the world. We tremble because we are mortal. We rejoice in our gratitude for life. We rejoice with trembling and enter Kol Nidre to face our humanity.
Thank you so much, Pam. Kol Nidre, a chant that begins in a whisper and rises to a cry. On this night of promises, remembered, each soul in solitude communes with the soul of the universe. God, from this day of atonement to the next, may we reach it in peace. All Israel makes these vows to turn from wrong, dishonesty, and greed, to walk in the path of righteousness and right. Yet we know our weakness, how prone we are to fail. Help us to keep our word. Help us to act with humility and integrity. We seek pardon and forgiveness. We seek your radiance and your light. As we prepare for Kol Nidre, it's my honor to invite Liz and David Sherman, Barry and Dan Walcher, Michelle Silverstein and Rick Furman forward to hold Torah scrolls, and we invite the congregation please to stand.
Shaaray, Bacharame, Bekoname, Bechinuye, Bekinuse, Ushevuot. Kol Nidre Shaaray, Bacharame, Bekoname, Bechinuye, Bekinuse, Ushevuot. Din karimna vidasarna anafshatana miyom kippurim zeh ad yom kippurim ulhon icharatna behon Yehon Sharan Yehon Sharan V'teilin mevutalin Hidrana Kol Nidre Shevuatana Shavuot
Standing.
We continue with Baruch Hu on page 22.
La 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 la
Please be seated. We sing Shema, a declaration reminding each other that we and all Israel and all humanity and all creation is a whole, infused by God. Tonight, as we step into Yom Kippur, perhaps we sing Shema as a call within, reminding ourselves that even with all our imperfections, we are a whole universe infused with God. 28 is where we will find the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu halevaim ha'ele asher Anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Veshinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'b'shofbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam המזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם מכל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות להם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Throughout the year, our actions condemn us. Throughout the year, our deeds are open to blame. But on this day, we rise above our human failings, fasting, praying, wrapped in white talitot. We stand like angels reaching for the divine. On this one day, we catch a glimpse of what we could be. We celebrate the better angels of our nature. Michamocha, page 40.
מלכותך רעומנך בוקהים לפני משה ומרים זני אנו ואמרו ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, Hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, Hamidenu malkeinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, Hamidenu malkeinu lechayim. We invite you please to rise and as we turn to page 45 for the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah Ve'alma divrach eruteh V'yamlich malchuteh V'chayechon u'v'yomechon U'v'chayedecho Beit Yisrael Bagalav izman kariv v'yimeru Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevorach ve'olam ve'olamei olamaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach Yitbar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei dekudsha Leila uleila Iko birkata v'shirata Tushbechata v'mekemata Amiran bi'alma V'yimeru Continue on page 48. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואמהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. חוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל. זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים, למען אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, בחיי הכל.
Seated. A few days ago, preparing for the service, the clergy had an intense conversation about a very deep issue. Why do we call this part of the service silent prayer if we hear music playing? And it really made me think, because in a moment as Allison plays the piano, there will be silence. There are silences between the notes that will give it shape. And the same is true in the other direction. How often in life is anything completely silent? If we didn't have Allison play, we would hear people shuffling in their chairs or coughing. Life is rarely completely one thing or the other. Really, that's the message of these days. And perhaps as we continue with personal contemplation, we might choose to listen to the sounds of the piano notes or to the rests. But either way, this is a moment when we seek out the parts of ourselves that we don't often give enough attention to.
יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Throughout the pandemic, I've felt more connected to Judaism than ever before because virtual services and online temple events were one of the few constants in life. Then this summer, I was able to travel to Israel with Nifty. After a year and a half of COVID, it was so amazing to reunite with my friends. I think we all saw the world from an extremely different perspective after going through such a difficult year and a half, and we felt even more grateful to be together and explore Israel.
This summer, I was finally able to get the amazing opportunity to go to Israel through the Nifty URJ organization with my Eisner Camp friends. We were supposed to go the summer prior, but due to quarantine, it was canceled. After hoping and praying that it would happen after years of looking forward to it, I think finally getting to go made me appreciate it so much more and feel more connected to the experience, the country, and the Jewish people overall.
At the beginning of the pandemic, I was feeling pretty sorry for myself when I could not see my friends or go to school in person. But then I realized that there are much more important things in the world and in our own community. I found it even more important to try and get to temple when I could for Backpack Buddies and Soup Kitchen, because there are people in our own community dealing with food insecurity while trying to survive during COVID. It made me be thankful for the things I have and work harder to support those in need.
Since I was a kid, I've always loved being in temple and immersed with the synagogue aesthetic. And I've been incredibly struck in these times how connected I felt to the synagogue and to our community and to the spirituality of Shaaray Tefila, even in these months where we couldn't be there as much or even at all. I'm very aware that my sense of spirituality has been enhanced by the very real connections our community made over Zoom. It was beautiful and nurturing and very uplifting to get that sense of connected humanity when we were prevented from physically being together has been very moving for me.
The best way to understand Shabbat is to live it. That's what we learned from the experience of the COVID lockdown, that Shabbat will now always be in our lives. We'd confuse a Tuesday or a Wednesday each week, but we never had to ask, when is Shabbat? Lighting candles, blessing challah and wine ushered in a moment in our lives that said, things are going to be different. We wanted to make it joyful, serene. We'd say yes to anything. It will be like a big hug. Shabbat morning meant joining the TST community over Zoom. The services set structure and melodies became familiar, and the rabbis and cantors' readings always shared wisdom. Just like the discussions in Torah study. Yes, we missed the light above the ark during Zoom services, but we knew it was our responsibility to keep it lit.
I feel like not a day goes by when I'm not talking to somebody about how challenging life is, how overwhelming the news is, how frightening life can seem. And now we just had, I don't know, a minute and a half of healing, of young people talking about traveling in Israel and about being excited that they can come to virtual services every week. We have people remind us about the beauty of our tradition that allows us to pause once a week and feel embraced. We have a physician who during this time of COVID talks about Judaism and his synagogue community as a place where he goes for comfort. It's a reminder that things aren't so bad when we make them good for each other. So now, this time when we think of people who we love, and maybe even ourselves, and the places where we are feeling hurt and broken, this is why we share together in singing this prayer, Misha Berach, because we can't make each other better, but we can bring a stronger sense of wholeness and joy and comfort and belonging. If you're thinking of anyone now who's injured or hurt in any way, in body or mind or spirit, I'm going to invite us all at this time to offer their names all together. Let's take a moment to do that. Them very much in our hearts, we offer our wholeness to them as we sing on page 273. We move from this blessing, which reminds us that we, in our brokenness, can still become more whole, to our vidui, our confessional prayers, on page 82. Please rise.
Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Tavo lefanecha, Tefilatenu, Ve'atit alam, Midkinatenu, Anachu, Hazefanim ukeshei oref, lomar lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu Tzadikim anachnu v'lo chatanu Aval anachnu chatanu Avinu Hashamnu Bagadnu Kazanu Dibanu Dofi Evinu Vehirshanu Zadnu Hamasnu Tafanu Sheker Hizavnu Latnu Maradnu Niatnu Sararnu Avinu Hashanu Sararnu Hishinu Oref Rashanu Shichatnu Tiavnu Tainu Titanu
Be seated. When I was young and learned the alphabet, life was open to me. A was full of aspiration, B was for beauty, C for confidence, and D for dreams, and so on through the list. No fewer than 26 opportunities, 26 possibilities. And yet I fear that with the passage of time, I've squandered them, creating instead A's of apathy, B's of brusqueness, and C's of coarseness. Help me then to return to that innocence, Let the letters be letters once again, and let them rise to the heavens and form into the words that you know I wish to say. We continue on page 86, the Al-Chet.
Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha, v'zadonu v'ishkaga, ve'al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha, v'dibur peh.
The ways we have wronged you deliberately and by mistake, and harm we have caused in your world through the words of our mouths.
Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha, ba'imut halev, ve'al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha, b'tifshut peh.
The ways we have wronged you by hardening our hearts, and harm we have caused in your world through careless speech.
Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha, b'chachash uv'chazav, ve'al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha, b'yirchiyut.
The ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world through gossip and rumor.
Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha, b'ifliut, ve'al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha, b'zilzul horim u'morim.
The ways we have wronged you by judging others unfairly, and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers.
Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha, b'vidui peh, ve'al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha, b'hona'at re'ah.
The ways we have wronged you through insincere apologies, and harm we have caused in your world by mistreating a friend or neighbor.
Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha, b'chozek yad, ve'al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha, b'masa uv'matan.
The ways we have wronged you through violence and abuse, and the harm we have caused in your world through dishonesty in business. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement.
shechatanu lefanecha, begalui uvasater, ve'al-chet shechatanu lefanecha, bifrikat or.
The ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, and harm we've caused in your world by losing self-control.
Al-chet shechatanu lefanecha, begilui adayot, ve'al-chet shechatanu lefanecha, b'machal uv'mishteh.
The ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality, and harm we've caused in your world through consumption of food and drink.
Al-chet shechatanu lefanecha, b'yetzer hara, ve'al-chet shechatanu lefanecha, b'neshech uv'marbit.
The ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and harm we've caused in your world through greed and exploitation.
Al-chet shechatanu lefanecha, be'elatzon, ve'al-chet shechatanu lefanecha, b'ntiyat karon.
The ways we have wronged you through cynicism and scorn, and harm we've caused in your world through arrogant behavior.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בשנאת חינם, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בטומאת שפתיים.
The ways we have wronged you by hating without cause, and harm we have caused in your world through offensive speech.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בלשון הרע, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בצרות עין.
The ways we have wronged you with a slanderous tongue, and harm we've caused in your world through a selfish or petty spirit. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement.
Though we all have been hurt, though we all have hurt each other, let us all forgive. Let us all be forgiven, though we all have caused pain in our words to one another. Let us all forgive. Let us all be forgiven. Slach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper, kaper lanu. Slach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper, kaper lanu. Though we all have regret for the words that we have spoken, let us all forgive. Let us all be forgiven. Let now be the time to repair what has been broken. Let us all forgive. Let us all be forgiven. Slach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper, kaper lanu. Slach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper, kaper lanu. For the gates are always open, for the gates are always open, for the gates are always open. Though we never can change all the times we've been mistaken, let us all forgive. Let us all be forgiven. Let us try to rebuild all the trust we have forsaken. Let us all forgive. Let us all be forgiven. Slach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper, kaper lanu. Slach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper, kaper lanu.
Join me on page 93. God, our creator and guide, let us speak now of the healing acts by which we bring you into the world, the acts of repair that make you a living presence in our lives. Al hatikun shetikanu lefanecha, for the act of healing we've done openly or anonymously, and for the act of repair we've done without personal gain. Al hatikun shetikanu lefanecha, for the act of healing we've done by seeking forgiveness, and for the act of repair we've done by forgiving others. Al hatikun shetikanu lefanecha, for the act of healing we've done through righteous giving, and for the act of repair we've done by opening our hearts. Al hatikun shetikanu lefanecha, for the act of healing we've done by comforting the mourner and visiting the sick, and for the act of repair we've done by pursuing justice and human rights, fairness and civility. Al hatikun shetikanu lefanecha, for the act of healing we've done by making peace between one person and another, and for the act of repair we have done by protecting nature and all its creatures. Al hatikun shetikanu lefanecha, for the act of healing we've done by teaching our children the ways of peace, and for the act of repair we've done by teaching our children the ways of Torah. Al hatikun shetikanu lefanecha, for the act of healing we've done by honoring elders and loving the stranger, and for the act of repair we've done in response to your commandment, choose life and blessing. Ve'al kulam, and all these things bring nearer the day when you shall be one and your name shall be one. Page 98. Page 113. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice. Some of us have cancer. Some have lost strength of body. Some have lost memory and speech. Some of us are in pain. Some can't find work. Some of us bear the marks of human cruelty inside, where the scars don't show. Some live with depression. Some battle addiction, many feel alone. Some have known shattered marriages, trust betrayed, hopes destroyed. Some of us have lost the ones we love far too soon. Some have lost a child. All of us have seen suffering in our midst. All of us know the ravages of war for which there are no words. Avinu Malkeinu, why? Avinu Malkeinu, are you there? Do you care? Avinu Malkeinu, hear our pain, hear our anger, hear our grief. Avinu Malkeinu, here is our prayer. Give us the strength to go on. Give us reasons to get up each day. Give us purpose and persistence. Help us to fend off fear and to hold on to hope. Help us to be kind. Don't make us bow or grovel for your favor. Give us dignity and give us courage. Avinu Malkeinu, show us the way to a year of goodness. Renew our belief that the world can be better. Restore our faith in life. Restore our faith in you. It's my honor to invite Richard and Marcia Shiner forward to open the ark doors for us, and we invite you please to stand.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Gadanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Kamol aleinu, Ve'alol aleinu. Etapenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Kodvenu, Besefer Chaim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, Kodesh Aleinu, Kodesh Aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu, Shema Kolenu, Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Konenu Varenu,
Please be seated.
Five years ago, after the U.S. women's gymnastics team won gold in the 2016 Olympics, the fire alarm rang in their Rio apartment complex. Simone Biles, still wearing the smile of a champion, grabbed her gold and let her teammates out of the building as she had led them to victory the night before. She had worked long and hard for that medal, and she was holding on to it. A month ago, at the 2021 Olympics, Biles shocked the world when she pulled out of the team competition, citing twisties, a mental disconnect. Lost in midair, she had no way of knowing what was up and what was down. Performing under these conditions would threaten her teammates' chance at a medal, and much more significantly, it would put her physical safety and her future at risk. Simone Biles, who knows how to grab hold of the bar, the beam, the vault, at the precise angle, in the precise moment, who flips and flies through the air with superhuman strength and agility, has now shown us, both on and off the apparatus, the power of knowing when to hold and when to let go. Simone intuits this balance through her talent, but she has honed this skill after years of training and life experience. Perfecting the rhythm of grab and release isn't easy. It takes practice. This is why, as the gates of the new year swing open and the gates of last year swing closed, Judaism has us take an accounting of our lives, directing us to seriously consider what we want to carry forward and what we want to leave behind. Tradition helps us do this by urging us to face our mortality, having us reenact our entire life's journey over these 10 days. We move from Rosh Hashanah, the day when we are born anew, to Yom Kippur, this day when we rehearse our deaths. No drink, no food, no creature comforts. This compacted lifespan brings into focus the preciousness and precariousness of our existence. Poet Yehuda Amichai does just this in a few words, imagining the dates that will be one day on his tombstone. He writes, just a hyphen separating them. I hold on to that hyphen with all my being. Picture it. Hanging on to that high bar hyphen, which is our life. We will swing from day to day with much greater ease if we fortify ourselves with what strengthens us and free ourselves from what drags us down. So on this sacred night that invites us to change, let's spend the next little bit of time reflecting on when to hold on and when to let go. And let's consider this both as members of a larger community and also as individuals living personal lives. When clearing out closets and struggling with what to keep and what to discard, the organizing guru Marie Kondo suggests we hold each item, take a moment, and ask ourselves, does this spark joy? Now that might work with clothing and tchotchkes, but there are more powerful reasons for us to hold on. Simone, history's most decorated gymnast, was already known as GOAT, greatest of all time. So why did she go through the pain and effort for more years of training to participate in the second Olympics? Now, clearly she loves her sport, but she had other motivation. Simone is one of the hundreds of girls and teens sexually abused by Larry Nassar, former doctor for the U.S. gymnastics team who was given responsibility to keep them safe and healthy. And she is the only high-profile survivor still competing. She wanted to keep us focused on this crime so it's not just yesterday's news. And she wanted to prevent the U.S. gymnastics governing body from brushing their complicity to the side. In Simone's words, I felt like I had a purpose to be a voice for the younger generation, to make change happen. I feel like I've done that, like God has called me. The question, does it spark joy, would have fallen short for Simone in deciding whether to keep competing or not. Her motivation is better articulated by a character in the novel Here I Am by Jonathan Safran Foer. A 13-year-old boy speaking at his bar mitzvah reminds his congregation and ours, you only get to keep what you refuse to let go of. Not every B'nai Mitzvah student that teaches from this bima speaks with the precocious wisdom of an acclaimed author. I mean, they're all brilliant. But that's not even the point. Each of them, all children who become B'nai Mitzvah, who stand before their communities on the bima and teach Torah, they are doing something far more important than sharing words of wisdom. They represent families who have refused to let go of Judaism, and that is no small thing. Every time any one of us holds on to Judaism in any way, we make a difference. A college student hangs a mezuzah in their dorm room. A family collects change out of their pockets every day and puts it into its tzedakah box. We get so frustrated with the world, so we decide to work with HIAS or the ADL or TRUA in pursuing justice. It matters. When we join a synagogue, when we remain members of a synagogue, when we engage with our synagogue, it matters. Engaging with Judaism comes easier to some than others, but it always takes effort. Hopefully, your efforts strengthen you. They certainly strengthen the Jewish people. As we will read tomorrow in Deuteronomy, by holding on, you make a difference for everyone here this day and everyone not here this day. Apologies, had a little. Consider this Hasidic Holocaust tale, which blends fact and fantasy. A rabbi and his friend, imprisoned in a labor camp, stand with the other inmates before an enormous pit that will be their mass grave. The guards taunt and torture the prisoners, saying they can save their lives by leaping across the pit to the other side. The rabbi and his friend survive to tell the story. Sometime later, the friend asks the rabbi how it was that he did the impossible and leapt all the way across that pit instead of falling to his death. The rabbi answered, "I was holding on to my ancestral merit. I was holding on to the coattails of my father and my grandfather and my great-grandfather of blessed memory." Then the rabbi said, "Tell me, my friend, how did you reach the other side of the pit?" And his friend answered, "I was holding on to you." By joining together for Yom Kippur tonight, we are holding on to our ancestors' coattails, and we are holding on to each other. It matters. Does Judaism spark joy? Confession. For me, not always. Ask my husband about the sparks that fly whenever I'm writing my high holiday sermons. And I bet that if we ask the B'nai Mitzvah students practicing their Hebrew, or the parents nagging the B'nai Mitzvah students who practice their Hebrew, or the cantors nagging the parents to nag the children to practice their Hebrew, well, it's not always a joyful exercise. Kind of like the many hours Olympic athletes put in at the gym. Now, these efforts often lead to joy, but more importantly, they strengthen and enrich us. Not letting go means our children and their children and theirs and theirs and theirs will have coattails to hold on to. From the communal, we now move to the personal struggle of discerning when to hold on and when to let go. Our ancestor Jacob, well, he could have been an Olympian. He and his twin brother Esau were already wrestling in the womb. Esau crossed the birth canal first, with Jacob grasping onto his heel. Jacob couldn't shake off coming in second. His whole life, his whole youth, he was chasing after his twin, grabbing Esau's inheritance, grabbing Esau's clothes, even his name, and finally, stealing Esau's most prized possession, their father Isaac's blessing. Esau's anguished cry, "Father, don't you have another blessing for me?" pierces through the centuries and stabs at our hearts still today. The saga of these twins is told from the perspective of Jacob, but as the narrative unfolds, it's clear that both brothers carried the intensity of their emotions for years, hurting themselves in the process. Esau's justified anger became a yoke, controlling him and the way that he moved through his life. And Jacob spent decades trying to run from shame that clung to him wherever he went. First, let's take a look at Esau. After Jacob ran off with the gold prize blessing, Isaac eked out a consolation prize for his firstborn son, saying, "When you decide to free yourself, you will release Jacob's yoke from your neck." Thanks, Dad. Not the most comforting words for Esau to hear. When you decide to free yourself, you will release Jacob's yoke from your neck. But as we know, many of us from both sides, often the words of parents that we discard when we are young come back to teach us something when we grow older. But the fact is, in the wake of that grievous crime, that terrible wrong, that egregious hurt done to him, Esau probably felt so destroyed that he couldn't appreciate or absorb those words. An obvious hint is that he threatened fratricide, a weapon aimed at his brother, which ultimately hurt his parents. The text provides a quieter detail, often overlooked, revealing how, in holding on to hurt, Esau wounds himself. After Isaac bestowed the blessing meant for him on his brother, Esau was consumed by a desire to do the impossible, to undo the crime that had been done to him. He made a decision about who to marry, hoping to win back his father's favor, hoping to restore his place in the family. Now, maybe Esau had a happy marriage and maybe he didn't. The point is that he made this impactful personal decision while caught up in the grip of emotion and based on what he thought would please somebody else. He became a victim of his agony more than a victim of those who wronged him. Now let's turn to Jacob. A Talmudic dictum teaches, Tefasta merubah lo tefasta. If you take hold of too much, you hold nothing. In his effort to undo, Jacob leaned in. 2 wives, 2 handmaids, 13 kids, masses of sheep, camels, cows, donkeys, rams, and immense wealth later, Jacob still couldn't quiet the agitation that gnawed inside of him. He asked Esau to meet up and set aside a bunch of livestock, planning to pay his brother back in goods for the invaluable gift he had stolen so many years earlier. The evening before their reunion, Jacob, alone in the wilderness, wrestled once again. This opponent was a mysterious stranger. The text introduces him from Jacob's perspective as Ish, as a man. Later, the stranger himself implies that he is a divine creature. Our sages, they tell us he is an angel. Whoever, whatever he was, it was a tight match that lasted through the night. This Ish was strong, but Jacob, a natural competitor, had decades of training for this moment. As the sun started to rise, the stranger stole a page from Jacob's playbook and played dirty, wrenching Jacob's hip. Even the waves of excruciating pain couldn't hold Jacob back. As my colleague, Reverend Barbara Brown Taylor, writes, Jacob got hold of someone who smelled of heaven, and there was no way he was letting him go. He demanded the angel give him a blessing, one that he had worked for, one that he had fought for, one that was meant for him. The angel acquiesced. Jacob emerged victorious with a new name that we still carry, Israel, with a permanent injury, and with an unabashed humility he never had before. The next day, the 2 brothers approached one another. Jacob limped toward Esau, pausing every few steps to bow deeply before him. Esau ran to his twin, fell on his neck, and the last clinging remnants of Jacob's shame fell away. The brothers held each other and wept. This embrace is a powerful picture of holding on after letting go. And if this was a fairy tale or a Netflix drama series, the story would have ended here. But this is Torah, which concerns itself with enduring truths, not happy endings. After that long embrace and catching up, expressions of heartfelt generosity, the brothers part, saying, "See you soon." Well, they don't. At least the text doesn't record any family dinners or a guy's night out. Other than getting together to bury their father, we never hear of Jacob and Esau together or even communicating again. Some relationships aren't the way we wish they would be. And hanging on to the dreams or beliefs of what we think they should be obscure the blessing of what is. A relationship doesn't have to spark joy all or even most of the time to be worth holding on to, for it to matter. There will always be distance between these twins, but it will no longer be fraught. It will be free. That space allows a flow of love and connection, even if the two of them are never on the same side of the desert again. An efficient way to clean out messy drawers may be to hold each object and ask, does this spark joy? A more incisive question when it comes to the stuff of life is, does this smell like heaven? Meaning, does this have some kind of sacred purpose? Will holding on make a difference to me, to those I love, to those in the future? Will letting go help me live with pain rather than cause pain? Will holding on energize me forward or weigh me back? Will letting go give me greater strength and buoyancy to swing on that high bar hyphen that is my life? Simone is a once-in-a-generation, perhaps a once-of-all-time talent. The rest of us, well, sometimes we're Jacob, carrying the shame of wounding the ones that we love. Sometimes we're Esau, carrying hurt heavily inside of us. As we draw to an end of our time together on this Kol Nidre, let's take just a moment to prepare for tomorrow's task of beginning to hold and let go. If you're comfortable, please close your eyes. First, I invite you to reflect upon something that takes effort but brings you a sense of purpose, a relationship, an activity, a mission, something that you want to hold on to with greater intention. Now let's take a few deep breaths and, concentrating on your inhales, breathe that deeply in. Now reflect on something that you're tired of carrying, a calcified anger, a shame, a self-doubt, something you are ready to put down and leave behind. Hold that in your mind and again take a few deep breaths, and this time concentrating on your exhales, sigh that out. your eyes are closed, I invite you, if you would like, to open them. Perhaps after services we will write these down, or maybe tuck them away in neatly organized drawers of memory. Either way, we will pull them out tomorrow, and we will get to our sacred work. What is it we want to hold on to? What is it we want to let go? Look, the gates of the new year are swinging open before us, inviting us to possibility. We can learn, and when we do, we can practice, and when we do, we can change.
Is anybody out there? Is anybody listening? Does anybody really know if it's the end of the beginning? The quiet rush of warm breath is all we're waiting for. Sometimes the one we're taking changes everyone before. It's everything you wanted, it's everything you don't. It's one gate swinging open and one gate swinging closed. Some prayers find an answer, some prayers you never know. We're holding on and letting go. Sometimes we're holding angels and we never even know. Don't know if we'll make it, but we know we just can't let it show. It's everything you wanted, it's everything you don't. It's one gate swinging open and one gate swinging closed. Some prayers find an answer, some prayers you never know. We're holding on and letting go. It's everything you wanted, it's everything you don't. It's one gate swinging open and one gate swinging closed. Some prayers find an answer, some prayers you never know. We're holding on, letting go.
Thank you so much to Tyler Kipnis for lending us your beautiful voice. With that, we turn to Aleinu on page 116, and as the ark is opened, we rise. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu parim u'mishtachavim u'modim b'fnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu.
Please be seated.
Just want to take this moment to thank Pam Manassi, our cello player, who's been playing here for many, many years, and it always adds so much beauty to the service, and I just want to thank her for her time here doing that and for adding so much beauty to our worship.
Thanks to all of our musicians. We invite you to stay with us throughout this day of Yom Kippur. We're excited for our learning sessions. Actually, before that, I should say that the family service is going to be in Central Park. The teen service will be in the Raisler room here in the synagogue tomorrow. And then we invite you to be with us all day long. Come for services in the morning. Stay for learning sessions with Michael Starr at 1:30, with Marla Feldman at 2:30, and with our guest speaker, Eric Ward, at 3:30. All of those sessions will be available online on Zoom and also here in the synagogue. So if you're coming in the morning and you want to stay throughout the day, there will be spaces for people to participate in those programs as well. We invite you to come back this Monday evening, September 20th at 6:15 for services for Erev Sukkot. That holiday always sneaks up on us, but it always comes 5 days after Yom Kippur, and we hope that you'll come back as we emerge from the heaviness of this day to the joy of one of our major festivals, and then again Tuesday morning at 10:15. There's opportunities to reflect in front of the Ark on September 19th. If you'd like to take that opportunity, please make an appointment. We are having a food drive once again. This time we're asking that rather than bring food goods to the temple, we ask you place an order of needed items through Amazon or Costco to be delivered here. All the information about how to help can be found on the High Holidays page of our website. We're also looking for members who are interested and willing to volunteer to help pack lunch bags and make sandwiches once a week for our lunch program to help our neighbors who are hungry. You can talk to Rabbi Reines after Yontiv if you're willing to volunteer. Thanks to everyone for being here, and we hope that you'll take a look, either a physical copy or online, of our adult programs brochure that outlines a whole series of programs throughout the entire program year, just now beginning. Stay with us all year long.
Every year, everything I have ever learned in my lifetime leads back to this: the fires and the black river of loss, whose other side is salvation, whose meaning none of us will ever know. To live in this world, you must be able to do three things: to love what is mortal, to hold it close against your bones, knowing your own life depends on it, and when the time comes to let it go, to let it go. Who is it that you have had to let go of, who you will always be holding with you in your heart. I invite us all to offer any names together now. Together as a congregation, I invite you, if you are able, to please rise and turn to page 122 that we might offer this traditional prayer, mingling grief and gratitude, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitzkadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabah, v'yalmad yivrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael, ba'agala ubizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabah mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar, v'yit alev, v'yit halal, shemei dekudesha b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Hosei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen.
Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Our concluding song is on page 126, Adon Olam. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra, v'yiktasa b'chepso kol azay melech shemo yikra. V'yaparech hipnotak
Marcia Falk writes the poem Kol Nidre. All vows, all promises and pledges that we have made to ourselves and that no longer serve for the good, may their grip be loosened, that we might be present of mind and heart to the urgency of the hour. The urgency of the hour. Gates of one high holiday season will shut, and a gate will open into the possibility of what we can become until we meet here again next year. Gamar Chatima Tova. May we each be inscribed for good.
Perfect. Still off.